Oscar, from your side, what are the initiatives that Hollywood is bringing up to create this collaboration between AI and artists?
We just came out of a strike that lasted half a year. The writers feel threatened by AI, and now with Midjourney and now Zora prompting entire videos, it's a great tool in terms of conceptualizing a movie and doing a sizzle reel and showing your ideas, but it is extremely simple to do that. Anyone can do that, just coming up with an idea. And the reality is that ideas are a dime a dozen. You know, coming up with a fresh idea requires somebody to think differently. And the actual word innovation means to do something different in a better way. It's not like, hey, let's just do copy paste of whatever is out there and come up with something formulaic. Anyone can do that with or without AI. So I think that in the creative industries, as well as any other industry, there's no lack of work to get done. You know, like, if you really want to stand out, it's going to be easier to stand out as an artist that is not relying on ChatGPT. Like whenever I get the questions like, oh, what do you use ChatGPT for? Oh, it helps me come up with some basic ideas. Well, that's going to be a huge limitation for you, because then you're going to just base your new idea on whatever ideas were thrown at you at ChatGPT instead of actually organically coming up with something fresh.
I think that that's a great point. I was in a presentation in Brussels, and apparently they asked the speakers to put together some slides, and it was obvious that all of them used the same prompt in ChatGPT, because when they presented 3 people the slides, it was exactly the same context. And I think that this was so embarrassing. And I think
it is so embarrassing. And like when people say AI is going to replace every job, you know, like it's going to replace all the useless people. And the only people that are saying this are the people that secretly dream about completely switching off their brains so they can just sit and watch YouTube all day.
I think you just brought is a really good point, because AI can easily replace like a functional task, but something where you need a vitality, then it can't be replaced, because as a human being, you make something happen, and you make it with your energy, and that is something that AI can't replace. But if it's a functional task, that's kind of easier to get replaced.
Yeah, we were just saying that backstage here, that, you know, pretty much every technology when it comes to communication has actually made communication more difficult and increased miscommunication, whether it is Zoom, where it's like you're putting up with bad audio with 20 people in a Zoom meeting that nobody is in control of, and no decision is taken. And the same thing with Slack. Everybody's like, look at me, posturing, trying to show that I'm doing some work, and nothing gets done. You know, like when it comes to creative work or any work, it's about the collaboration in person, the connection of actually moving things along. A lot of tech is just about adding layers of uselessness. I don't know if I'm coming across as negative towards AI. I'm extremely positive towards AI. I use AI every single day, all the time, in automating rote tasks. All the boring work that is very easily automated, AI is brilliant, like any software. I mean, and my point is simply that it isn't a threat in terms of human ingenuity. This easily copy and paste approach to creativity, that's simply what I'm saying. I'm sorry I sound so angry, I just get so animated.
No, like there's the passion on the topic. But like
Before Napster, music was a huge industry, and then they spent all their effort trying to sue individual people that were downloading the music and put Napster out of business. And you know, it took only a few years, and music is more ubiquitous and spread, and there's more active music communities than ever before. And I think AI is going to be the same thing. I mean, it's, you know, another overused word, democratize, right? It's not like AI is just going to be available to a few people. It's going to be available to anyone equally. And the real talent with any industry is getting someone to listen to what you have to say. I mean, like I upload a YouTube video and, you know, I get 3 views. But my point is merely that there is less and less money being made from the creation, more from the distribution. Musicians are not making money off of selling their music anymore. Netflix is, Spotify supposedly is, but it's really in the delivery and the packaging where the money is. But where do we focus on, you know, having a fight about AI? Where there is no money, what's the point? When we talk about data, for many years now, this idea that you're going to own your data, sell your data, as if data in and of itself is valuable. It's not. It's the consumption of data or the use of data in some way. And when I'm listening to the IP rights of music and movies, I mean, music makes less money than ever before. It's very interesting that $30 billion is the turnover of the music industry per year, which is more or less the marketing budget of Procter & Gamble. Yet it has an outsized impact on global culture. Nothing impacts more across cultures than music does.
Maybe
but there's
football.
no money there. And what's happening in the music industry at the moment is that they are watermarking each stem of a recording, of the different tracks that you have in a recording, so that you can instantly find when it's been abused, or used without being licensed, to thereby go after and sue them. And I think the real business opportunity here is not for musicians or the creative artists, it's for the law firms to go out suing each other and using AI, not to promote creativity or create better music or movies, because they certainly aren't. Disney is going down the drain. Nobody, I mean, they're not even making their money back. The more tech that's used in a movie, whether it's CGI or, market research, whatever it is, the more people involved in using tech in movies or music, the worse the art gets. So I think that, in the future, when talking about AI in terms of creativity and so forth and so on, I think that we're in a race to the bottom where IP rights are going to become archaic. I mean, at the end of the day, unless someone is paying or watching your content, it's not worth anything. Listening to you talking about this, it reminds me of Andy Warhol and the Schopenhauer discussion. You just take Campbell's tomato soup and you call it art, and the originals are sold for fortunes. The provenance of a piece of art is really what you're paying for, and the packaging and the marketing, it isn't really the idea necessarily that is the value. In a way, it's the same discussion we're having now about, is it really worth an IP, or what is the value? I mean, I guess, if Andy Warhol would have prompted the Gen AI to do a piece of art, it's valuable, not because of what the Gen AI spit out, but because simply Andy Warhol prompted it. And the value he built up is that whole image and that whole backstory that he has. AI, there's a lot of confusion about what that even is, but it is pattern recognition, and it's fantastic for monitoring and putting together data and connecting data. But the real danger is that you don't know that it's being done. Like, I've been using speech recognition software for Zoom calls, and you can go through enormous amounts of recordings and just find the small parts that you need to have. But you can just imagine how efficient it is to monitor your office, and your name comes up and you can see who says what about you. And no one can stop you from doing that, much less the governments. And I think when it comes to ethics, there is expectation of transparency and that it isn't abused, because the technology is available. If you're going to use it, no one can stop you. But what is the opportunity from a legal standpoint to actually ensure that it isn't abused?